Hey, welcome. Every great building, every amazing structure, it all starts with a blueprint. And it turns out the very same thing is true for building a strong character. So today we're going to dive into that blueprint, the foundational virtues that really shape who we are and, more importantly, who we can become. So, what are they? What are those essential ingredients? Is character just something you're born with? Or is it something you actually build, piece by piece, with every choice you make every single day? That's what we're here to figure out. Now, you might think the answers are buried in some heavy, dense philosophy books. But what if I told you the most profound wisdom is actually hiding in plain sight? What if it's right there, in the simple stories we've all heard for generations, tales that were literally designed to build us up from the inside out? Our guide for this whole journey is this amazing collection of fables. Think of it as our source code for understanding the architecture of character. We're going to explore the core pillars that these stories reveal. All right, let's get into our first pillar. It is all about the power of effort. And not just one kind of effort, but two. The effort you put in on your own and the effort you put in as part of a team. It's about grit and collaboration. Two sides of the same really powerful coin. So here we see these two incredible paths to success. On one hand, you have pure, unyielding perseverance. There's the story of a baya bird whose nest gets destroyed over and over by a mischievous girl. But you know what the bird does? It just rebuilds every single time. Then, on the other hand, you've got the magic of teamwork. A squirrel, a myna, and a hen decide to pool their skills. They save a ton of time and end up creating a whole school for other animals. It just goes to show you, strength is found both in that solitary grit and in a shared purpose. In this whole idea of collective power, wow, it's captured perfectly in the story of the ants. See, a herd of elephants started carelessly trampling their homes. A single ant? Powerless. But their queen, she rallied them. They acted as one giant army, swarmed the elephants, and proved that with a little strategic unity, even the smallest among us can overcome the absolute biggest challenges. But, unity and perseverance, they're most effective when they're guided by experience. And that brings us right to our second pillar, the profound wisdom of just listening. Listening to those who have walked the path before us. Come on, we've all heard some version of this, right? It's that voice of experience, of love, of protection. And as these stories are about to show us, choosing to either heed that advice or to ignore it, well, that choice can change absolutely everything. And look, this isn't just about obedience for the sake of it. It's about outcomes. You have these two goat children, Chintu and Pintu. They remember their mother's warning about a wolf, and because of that, they avoid his traps. Simple. In contrast, you have Mintu the mouse, who ignores his father and nearly drowns in a pond. And then there's a curious baby ant who touches a flame, even though his mother begged him not to. The lesson here is crystal clear. Wisdom is a shield, and listening is how we learn to use it. Okay, on to our third pillar, honesty. I love how these stories frame it. It's not just a moral good, it's presented as the most valuable currency you can possibly possess, one that earns you rewards way, way greater than just riches. Before we jump into the examples, just take a second and think about this for yourself. When you're faced with a huge temptation, or maybe some intense pressure, where does your compass point? It's a tough question, and it's one these next characters had to answer for real. Okay, so picture this. You're a poor farmer. You're really struggling to feed your family. Then one morning, you open your door, and right there is a pot just overflowing with gold coins. Nobody's around. This could solve all your problems in an instant. That's the test our farmer was facing. And now for a totally different kind of test. You've got a bear who's part of the king's court. The king, who has a pretty big ego, asks everyone to praise this beautiful, totally non-existent perfume he claims he's wearing. Everyone else rushes to flatter him. So the bear has a choice. Tell a simple lie to please the king, or speak the truth and risk, well, who knows what. So what happened? What was the payoff for being honest? Well, the farmer, even though he was poor, took the gold straight to the king. And the bear? He respectfully told the king the truth. And in both cases, the king revealed it was all a test of character. The farmer was made the royal treasurer, and the bear was appointed prime minister. See, they didn't just get gold, they got something so much more valuable, the trust and honor that only comes from rock-solid integrity. This brings us perfectly to our fourth and final pillar, kindness.
The stories here suggest that the kindness we put out into the world isn't just some gift we give to others. No, it's an investment in our own well-being.
I mean, think about this. It's like a powerful natural experiment. First, a selfish wolf falls into a well. He's known for being a jerk, so nobody helps him. Later, a kind and generous goat falls into that exact same well. The second she calls for help, animals come running. It's such a direct illustration of how the way we treat others literally builds the safety net that might just catch us one day.
And that lesson is just perfectly captured in this story about a mischievous young monkey named Nandu. He thought it was hilarious to steal wool from a poor sheep, but his father helped him see that the quick thrill you get from a prank is nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to the deep, lasting joy you feel when you actually help someone. When Nandu returned the wool and even offered his own food, the gratitude he saw from the sheep taught him a lesson no lecture ever could.
So, as we bring it all together, what does this blueprint actually look like? What have these simple, powerful stories really taught us about building a strong foundation for our lives? It really does boil down to these core principles, doesn't it? Perseverance, just like that baya bird, lets us build things that truly last. Unity, like those amazing ants, gives us the strength to overcome anything. Listening to wisdom protects us from harm. Honesty builds a reputation of trust that's more precious than any amount of gold. And kindness? Well, kindness creates this cycle of goodwill that always comes back to us. And that really just leaves us with one final, very personal question. Because this isn't just about stories, right? It's about action. So, looking at this blueprint, which pillar are you going to focus on strengthening in your own life, starting today?